Hello, I'm Ashy. Today I have with me Wall,
Duckweed.
Duckweed, and I also have Des.
We're talking about plants today. Let's
We
make a
are
salad.
talking. I don't know if you want to make a salad with these.
You know,
They
funnily
probably,
enough, duckweed is about 60% protein by dry weight, so if I really wanted to, I could be scooping it out and drying it and turning it into protein powder.
That is something I didn't know.
I don't think you can do that with a sniper cactus. Or maybe you can, I
You
don't know.
probably can. So anyways, we're talking about plant companions today.
If we learned anything from anime, it's that every monster is basically edible.
True.
With
I'm
the
sure
correct
most
cooking techniques, sometimes you might trip balls or shit
So-
yourself inside out. A lot of cactuses actually contain alkaloids. Like, there's this whole thing about if you're stuck in the desert, you can drink the inside of the cactus, and it's like, no, you can't. You will die and trip balls.
So what
Hey,
you're saying
you can.
is
You'll just die faster.
we should be ranking this list on tankiness, not in-game utility. Damn,
Oh,
we
I-
gotta start over, guys.
Damn! We need to take this entire list of all these animals and all these companions and do a new tier list.
Yep,
Edibility!
rank on tastiness. I
Holy
mean, I'm
shit,
sure
the
most
fish
of them
will
are
be
edible.
S.
I
Aw,
mean, you're
shit.
right, especially on edibility, because is it made of meat? Yes, or you could probably eat it. Is it not made of meat? You can't eat it. So I think it should be tastiness.
Absolutely tastiness. You know, because some meats are gonna be gamey, some are gonna be delicious. But okay, let's actually get
some
into
meats
this
are nice
list.
gamey.
Eh,
You got to prepare it. Just got to prepare them right. You've got to balance the flavors out. It's why duck is like dried and served with like sweeter sauces.
okay, but would vulture be tasty?
I don't know. You know what? I'm gonna Google it.
Oh my god.
I mean, there's also the other problem. We can only judge tastiness by real world standards, but we're not talking about, elven cuisine or dwarven cuisine, or which probably have way different ways of cooking things and could probably make even the worst things taste good.
Or in the case of dwarves, they make their bread, but it's a war crime to feed that bread to prisoners. You can use them as a weapon, though.
Lamau.
That's a Terry Pratchett joke.
Lamau. Alright,
Okay,
let's
apparently turkey vultures taste like shit.
Okay. I'm glad to know that. I think. Alright. So, let's get into this list. The hunting
And the
cactus.
biggest thing is, I'm
What?
not done yet. The biggest thing, things like vultures and carrion feeders are basically immune to botulism and various bacteria that aren't actually killed when cooked. They're really durable ones. So you could get any kind of horrendous disease from carrion feeders.
Yeah, let's not eat carrion feeders. Those probably are some F-rank tasty boys.
I mean, yeah, they taste like shit according to Google, so...
Okay,
I wonder how many vultures Google has eaten.
all of them. So, hunting cactus?
Hunted cactus.
Hunting cactus. Alright, so
Delicious. Wait, no, never mind.
getting into like actually these plants do require a feat to take. They require the curious companion feat for most druids.
At least it's not wasting 2 feats.
Yeah, then that might also be generally offset by the list of immunities that plants have, because plants are immune to just most forms of like common crowd control, as well as poison, which is probably pretty nice.
Yeah.
On the other
Alright,
hand,
let's have a
their
look at
sludge
this.
is pretty bad.
Oh, it starts at medium and becomes a large. Well, hey, I bet... I mean, since it's large, you can ride it, but you might not want to.
It's a cactus. It's covered with hundreds of thin, sharp needles. But you could probably get a saddle for it.
You could get a saddle for
You
it.
could get an exotic
You could
saddle.
shave it.
I guess you could. Yeah. Statistically, as an animal companion, it's not particularly fast. It's at least as fast as you are, though. It's got some decent natural armor. It's stat-based, like, it doesn't start with a lot of strength or dex. It's an okay amount of strength, Its constitution actually starts pretty good though, at 17.
I hate this.
Why do you hate this?
Why is it faster than some of the actual just animal companions that'll cost you multiple feats?
Well, because I can explain this. Because as a cactus, there are nomadic species that need to wander vast distances in search of water.
I don't know whether I hate that statement or love that statement.
Hey, there are some plants that will move. They will drag themselves ever so slowly across the landscape chasing water.
Also,
I bet you didn't know that.
I didn't. I might be a little traumatized now. Only a little bit.
Talking about the immunities, there's one immunity in there under the plant type that I did not even realize. Immune to polymorph effects.
Yes.
I mean, all the rest of them I knew, but that polymorph one kind of snuck up on me.
Yeah.
It's why we meme on plants as just being immune to everything, because there's very little you can do to them other than take an axe or fireball. And some of them are resistant to fire.
Imagine Jack using shape change to turn into a green man and then isn't able to turn back because immune to the spell and running out.
That's funny.
Jack screaming.
That would be funny. Alright. Back to the hunting cactus. So it has a retaliatory ability. It does a little bit of like damage if you hit it with a natural attack or an unarmed strike, or if you dare grapple it.
I mean, hey, look, if someone decides they're going to make a grapple check against a cactus, they know what they're getting in for.
Jesus
They kind of deserve at that point.
This thing is strong and tanky.
Yes, like, plants are good. I do
This
like how
plant's
it gets
actually
that +8 to its strength.
Going up to 22
Damn.
strength is... Going up to 22 strength and 19 con, like, it's stat sticky. And, like,
Yeah,
it's
it
got
is
2 slams at D8.
Yeah. It's actually a really good companion.
Technically it's D8 plus a D4, I believe, because does it not add it? Oh no, it doesn't add its piercing to the slabs.
Yeah, no, it's a, if it gets hit, it
It's when
punishes
it
things for
gets
hitting
hit.
it. It slams
No, I thought it
just
said if
deals both bludgeoning and piercing.
Yeah.
I think reasonably you should get its spikes to its slams because it's a fucking cactus, but
I
Yeah,
think that's
that's
why
why
the
some
slabs are
disagrees.
dealing a D6.
I mean, that's not particularly high for its size. That's okay for its size. I think it's representing it as the slam deals both bludgeoning and piercing.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
I understand that, but also...
Two
So-
1d8 slams with that +8 strength and improved natural attack, like, Jesus.
Yeah, no, it's kind of spooky.
It's actually kind of threatening. So where do we place it? Would you say this is a
I'm
B
honestly-
tier, or...
I'd
think-
say it's A.
Yeah, I was gonna say high B or like lower A. It's immunities plus it just generally being good.
I don't know. I was gonna say that
It's
the
got
lack
some
of
strong
really,
stats.
the lack of really spicy special abilities like a blood train or pounce rate nonsense keeps it out of S. But it does have those plant immunities. It might be S because there's not a lot you could do to stop it.
I'm also going to nail it on the S because of it. It does cost a feet. And yes,
Yeah, okay.
while you probably won't care because of being a druid or something, there is other things that would be like, it's losing a feat. That's why I'm thinking A.
Here's the thing, though.
Ranger.
You spend less feats. Well, you spend more feats to get even a fraction of the amount of resistances and immunities that plants do, though.
In fairness, you
Like-
could look at it as taking a feat to essentially give your animal companion a pile of immunities.
Yeah, that's
Something
how
you
I'm
might
seeing
find
it.
worthwhile. That said, you
Um,
can't take most of the list if you're doing that.
Well, let's
I'd-
also be fair. We should also hit the fact that it only has a belt and an eye slot.
Yeah, it's got pretty bad
So-
slottage.
Okay.
It does get nailed on the slots.
All right. There's a number of things keeping it out of S.
Yeah.
Funnily enough, the thing that's giving it those giant stack of immunities is one of the things keeping it out of S. Plant.
plant.
But
It's how it is.
seriously, that 19 con and deceptively high strength score after its advancement, though.
Yeah, it does take a little bit to get there. It's a 7th level advancement, but
I'll be honest, you know how Lilut is doing the whole Alkenstar druid?
yeah.
I think
Should've had a
I'd be
cactus.
tempted to have an Alkenstar fucking druid, a cowboy druid, with a cactus companion like this. I'd be more than happy to have that.
When you're doing a very similar theme, except instead of being rodent themed, you actually have straight up a cactus.
No, you
Nice.
gotta go with the sniper cactus so that you can back with your cactus.
Wait,
Shoot up
Wait.
full things.
what's your intelligence? Int 1, we need to fix that intelligence and get it some teamwork feats like shot of opportunity.
Oh,
And then we've got something here.
Weirdly
No,
enough,
you go
the,
Hunter!
Weirdly
You
enough,
got
the
Gun
hunting,
Hunter!
the hunting cactus above it has int 2 for some reason. So it's a very smart plant.
Apparently, it takes less brain power to run up, or more brain power to run up and smack something than it does to just hurl your fucking spines.
Alright. So, shall we talk about the sniper cactus then?
Yeah, because the
Yeah.
sniper cactus is having me brain develop an entire new fucking character.
Alright, so it starts off at size small, which is probably generally fine, because it's primarily a ranged minion, rather than a melee one. It goes up to medium, which does some interesting things.
It's got a 1d8 piercing range attack at 60 foot.
Yeah, that's pretty gnarly.
It's small.
Now, like, it doesn't get strength to it, but that's fine because its strength base is 10 and it doesn't improve with an increase. The downside is that it starts with a very low dexterity for what it is. Its constitution is 14, so actually okay. More impressively, that 1d8 becomes a 2d6 when it sizes up, though.
Mm-hmm.
It does only get a +2 dex and a +2 con, so dex 15 before increases. It's probably salvageable, and it gets 2 thorns instead of 1 thorn.
Well, it's got 2 ranged greatswords.
Yeah,
You
it's
can
2
do
ranged
shit with
greatswords.
that.
Here's the question: would it count as a natural attack?
Yes, it is an actual attack.
So
Then
yes,
improve nat attack.
yeah, you could do that. You could
Yeah.
turn it into a 3d6 thorns attack.
Jesus
It-
Christ.
It does have an aura there, preventing it from doing both melee and ranged in the same turn, but
That's fine.
you're not bringing this for its melee attack. Its melee attack is an option if you can't range attack something, and that range attack is all dice, but not insignificant numbers of dice. And it's still
Here's
natural
the
attack, so
thing.
you could buff it with like a hypothetical AMF-like item.
Well,
And you're-
let's look at the hypothetical hunter. You can use the ranged teamwork feats with it,
Yes,
so you can get it some bonuses that way.
you could literally do the target of opportunity thing with it.
I will say, for a range attacker, its dexterity is a bit tragic,
Its
capping
dexterity
off
isn't
at
starting-
15.
I mean, okay. It's a tragically low number. On the other hand, at least that number gets scaled up by the natural progression of the class. So you're
Yes.
getting up to like at least a +6 to it. And
yeah,
you
no,
can
no,
belt it. So you're probably either belting it, or if you're happening to do the hunter thing that was talking about, you're probably giving it a dexterity boost, because strength does not matter for this thing.
Yeah, but I'm gonna say you use that as an argument a lot, that it's like, oh, it is getting a buff from the class. Like, so is everything else on these lists. It's not a
Yes.
very strong argument when that applies to everything. I was just saying the
Yeah.
number itself is a little tragically low for its main offensive stat.
Oh yeah, me saying I can do something with this is in a is its own isolated fucking hyperbolic time chamber of ideas. Yes,
Yeah,
it's quite low. And while yes, once you hit level 4, it does happen to be able to throw a fireball worth of damage at one poor fucking idiot. Mid to late game, it might have an issue actually hitting things unless you can figure that out.
Yeah,
Its accuracy is going to suffer.
Yeah. That's all I was saying. Like it's poor. It's got a very poor main offensive stat, but it definitely has some funny shit it can do.
On the other hand, if let's say you're playing a barbarian and
Yeah.
you're doing the balance of strength and dex. Oh no, I was gonna liken it to a barbarian that's using like the hilariously, what's it called? The giant, the orcish hornbow.
Yeah.
the Orcish
It's like
Hornbow.
you're doing giant dice strength bow things, but even then you're probably more accurate because of your item slots. You can enchant the bow, you can enchant the arrows. You got a belt.
I swear, this thing, what it's calling for is you trying to patch its attack bonus, and
Yeah.
then never mind the fact that it can fire 2 shots. It's definitely just calling for the improved net attack vital strike. Just go for one stupidly strong needle attack.
I mean,
Make it an actual sniper.
that would probably wind up being more damage in the long run than its 2 shots, unironically.
It depends if you can get what static bonuses you can start applying to it. Like you can say, "Oh, we give it deadly aim." True, but it's still got issues hitting.
Yes.
Deadly
You
aim
don't
would
want to be doing that
would kind of
unless-
exacerbate the hitting issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's patchable. I think it is patchable, but that is completely aside the point from the actual creature.
Yeah, it will take work to patch it. I kind of feel because of that, this one is probably like high B.
Yeah.
Like
It's
it can
an
absolutely do funny stuff, but it requires
Yeah.
patching to its intelligence, to its dexterity. But if you can patch those things, suddenly
Yeah.
you've got a really funny.
It's very funny. I'm gonna do this in the near future. As far as campaigns go, this is gonna happen. And
How
we'll
about
see.
this? Change your character idea for this instead of the savage technologist for the skulls and shackles. Go with this. We'll have 3 shooters.
What's the captain? A sniper with his first mate, the sniper. What's the ship's mascot? A sniper.
Oh no.
That's a fucking plan, Des, ain't it?
Even if
We'll
none of
see.
the other party jumps in on it, we'll still.
Ooh,
This is
you're tempting me, baby.
This is a party idea. All right. Corpse
I'm
eater
excited.
fungus.
Let's have a look.
So, this fungly boy apparently looks like a spider with a thorny acidic mouth in place of a body. We're at a speed of 30 again, so at least as fast as you are. Its natural armor is, we'll call it okay. It gets 1 bite attack. Its bite does a little bit of acid damage. Its stats from like the rip aren't the greatest at 14 strength, 13 dexterity, and 12 constitution. But
I
it
mean,
does have an acid spit. That is a touch
bite
attack.
isn't the worst. It's a little bit better than a D8 all combined.
And when it grows, it goes
Because
into
its
a D8
minimum
plus a
damage is
D4.
2.
It's increases
So-
with plus 4 strength, minus 2 con, and a plus... Wait, minus 2 dex and a plus 2 con. So you drop down to do dexterity 11, but also you only really care about that for the touch attack, which is a touch attack, so that hardly matters. Oh yeah, the touch attack goes up to a D8 acid damage. Oh yeah, and its CMD is apparently a plus 12 versus trip, so it's practically immune to trip.
You know, I like that because it's a damage type that is not highly resisted.
It's
a
the least
touch attack.
resisted one, in fact.
Yeah, it's a
When it
touch
comes to base
attack.
elementals.
Yes. It's a touch attack, which means that it's always going to be good, because I saw someone doing the scaling, and while they said AC will scale, like at level 1 it'll start at 12-ish, and then by endgame it's in the 50s. Like, touch AC apparently only scales from like 10, and by endgame it's hit like maybe 15 to 20 on average.
Yeah.
So it's like touch attacks are always going to be nice.
I mean, that's literally what they're designed to do. Like, the touch attack is basically the forte of predominantly, as far as players are concerned, a bad touch caster. And because of the philosophy that, spell slots are incredibly valuable, if someone's dropped a vampiric touch or an inflict wounds, there better be a damn good chance of it hitting, or you may as well just not prepare that slot.
Yeah.
So, if something's got a touch component, it is inbuilt in the system, designed to fucking hit. Outside of specific hoses like monks or whatever, but they're designed to be anti-casters anyway, traditionally. So yeah, they're hard to touch.
Yeah.
That's the job.
I will say that -2 on the dex does really hurt me loving that range touch attack though. Because dropping the dex down to an 11, it's like, oof. You get rid of its actual attack bonus, and then it kind of has to patch it back up. But at the very least, because of it being a touch attack, that's not as tragic as if they did that to, say, the sniper cactus.
I mean, the creature does live in a position where it is got a functional melee and a functional range, though.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, yeah, that is. And it's with the +4 hitting an 18 strength. Sure, it's not topping the charts of what we've seen, but it is definitely.
It's a definitely passable strength.
I'm just shocked at seeing that longsword damage for
right
for an acid bit.
So in this instance, you could be taking improved natural attack twice, a 2D again an acidic greatsword range attack, and a greatsword bite with a bit of acid. I think this is actually a ridiculously good generally used thing, because most animal companions suffer at range. This is going to poke its head up and just bean something.
Yeah, I mean, it is a 30-foot range, and it doesn't have increments being a ranged touch attack, but yeah. I'm pretty sure this one doesn't have increments, but yeah, it's still it still has the ability to reach out and touch something well beyond its melee attack range.
On par with its melee attack.
At least close to it.
This is another.
Attack means you can't deadly aim it, but you can point blank shot it. You can precise shot it.
I think this might be an A tier in just sheer battlefield versatility. It doesn't get bogged down in melee. It can take flyers out. If something's being a shitter crawling around on the wall, it can reach out and touch that too.
And the best part about this is when you get your belt of perfection, this is a perfect candidate because all three of those stats will be useful to it.
It does care about all those stats. It is probably squishier, but honestly, that's probably a fine trade-off.
It is squishier.
Does it live next to the hunting cactus or next to the death worm?
It's probably. What did I say it is? It lives next to the hunting cactus primarily because it's not stat sticking quite as hard as any of the others above it.
Yeah.
It's versatile, sure, but it's not just brooting them.
When you watch unfortunately a troll get downed by a fucking fungus spider.
With a big face.
I just think that the stat stickery of most animal companions is what players want, what you look for, and what you're most pleased with.
Probably so.
And I think that makes it on the low end of A because it is not actually a stat stick. But it is versatile and multi-purpose.
It's one of the few animal companions that actually has a ranged function. Because that's not common.
Maybe... No, let's keep it down here with the fungus.
I think where it's at is okay.
An A is still an A.
Yeah. It's still towards the top of the list. The creeping puffball.
Alright. What the fuck is this?
It's a Rolly Boy.
Okay.
Okay, so its natural armor isn't good. It's as fast as the other plants so far. Its slam is non-threatening damage, but inflicts poison. It's low strength. Okay dex. Pretty fine constitution, which is what the poison scales off of, so that's good. We're looking at a poison that does wisdom damage and dazzles. It is a 1 save cure, which is a little unfortunate. it has defensive puff as an ability, so when it is struck, it can immediate action expose an adjacent creature. It can expose an adjacent creature to poison. It's immune to trip, by the way, so it's a puffball. Well, of course it is.
So, hold on. If something, let's say this thing is just rocked up to a guy, and it's
Right.
made an attack.
Yes.
It's hit them.
Yes.
They make their save against that poison.
Yes.
They turn around and hit it. Immediate action tries to poison them. Due to our poison application rules, isn't that actually DC 2 higher than it was before?
According to rules, they have to fail their save for the poison to stack itself, unfortunately.
Right.
But it can be 2
annoying,
immediate
but okay.
applications of poison.
That's
Which,
true.
if they failed the first save, they're probably going to have a hard time passing the second save. Or they'll have a time passing the second save. And you can belt up its constitution, which is probably its most important stat. Aside from strength.
Considering its fucking job is to just roll up to someone and go, pfft.
Yes. It does get a +4 to strength going up to 16, so it's kind of low in for stats. It also gets 16 constitution, so that's a pretty average constitution score. It's not that it's not supporting what it does, but it's not very stat sticky. It does have a very interesting thing, and its poison being a wisdom base with an additional effect is kind of nice.
This is definitely an animal companion that you roll up to an enemy divine caster and make them the saddest thing possible.
Or any arcane caster. You could also roll up to a rogue and make them sad.
Why? What do arcane casters and rogues have got to do with wisdom damage?
Low fortitude saves, namely.
I mean, I guess, but I was specifically looking at a
The fact
cleric
that
or
it'll actually
something,
go
and
into
they're
the
about to
casting
start losing spells.
That's true, if it sticks. It's a little harder to stick to a divine caster because all the divine casters have good fortitude saves.
I don't know. I think a cloister cleric is about to eat some shit.
Cloister cleric would eat some shit. But yeah.
I honestly think this might be a C.
It's
Poison's nice and all, but everything else about it is a bit meh.
And let's be fair, unless you're doing alchemist bullshittery, even poison is kind of shrug. Because poison is one of those things that just kind of falls off so hard.
It at least has a decent con score, so its save is likely salvageable. Because, you know, a lot of animal companions with poison don't have good constitutions, because they don't want to scale it up.
I think that's all fine and good. I just can't put it in a B because it doesn't. It's not. It's
also
in general
not a stat
impressive.
stick.
Yeah, it's gonna have trouble reliably landing that slam to get its.
Oh, I didn't even think of that. True.
Yeah, like only 16 strength at the top end before any belts or scaling.
If that defensive
a
puff
place to be.
had a lower cooldown than once per minute, or it was an AoE, I think I might put it up as a B because it might do some funny things as just balling it in as a bomb. But it can't even do that.
No, that one per minute's really disappointing, but...
Yeah, no, I feel like that is a needless weakness since poison is already so low on effectiveness, so easy to counter with low-level spells. I kind of feel like that could have just been a defensive ability. And especially if you're going to make it cost an immediate.
You've seen the poison list, haven't you, Des? You must have looked at it at least once.
Oh, yeah.
Notice how prohibitively expensive for general use most of them are for when they'll be useful. I don't think they want players to be using poison, period. I think that's the problem.
I mean, poison is great for enemies to use against low-level players because enemies have whatever budget the fucking DM assigns them. But a player, it's like, yes, I spent half of my starting gold on this single dose of a poison. What does it do? Sleep, because I picked the one poison that will actually help.
The caveat there is alchemist, because the alchemist can then rock up with concentrated celestial poisons, look at a demon and go, "You're fucked."
Yeah, but
Yeah.
again, that's not poisons being good. That's
No, that's
alchemists being
alchemists.
too good and taking a shit system and making it better.
Yeah, it is. That wasn't. That was not in defense of poisons. That was extolling the virtues of having a good alchemist on board, because damn, they could do some goofy shit.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
no.
mean,
I think
I
we've
mean,
really
I would
poisoned
love-
enough.
I'm still willing to say that it is definitely a C, maybe like bottom end of B, just because of its list of immunities. It still
That's
does
where I'm-
have some
that's where I'm
good.
at.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's still got, but
it's
there's definitely
hard
better
to-
plants.
It's hard
You
to
know what?
have a list of immunities and be bad.
No, I'm gonna say it because of the other plants we've already discussed. I'm gonna say C for this one because there's just better shit you can pick.
You'd probably
True.
rather be doing anything else that we've seen so far rather than playing with this, even if it's funny.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I mean, throwing the
compared
purple
to
at
other
people would be
plants,
cute, but
yeah. Since they've all got the immunities, we should probably be comparing it within the plant category and ignoring whatever else has. Anything else has. You're right.
So, shall we talk about this golfer plant then?
Sure, let's see if we can stretch this out for another 10 minutes.
Alright, so it's slow. It's
Okay.
got a speed of 20 feet, so it's slower than the average player. It's got a climb of 10 feet, which is decent. At least it can climb. Its natural
Let's
armor
just pause.
isn't,
Pause a second.
I'm sorry?
So this is a pitcher plant. It gets up to large and it's got a climb speed. You can ride it by sitting in its digestive bulb with your head. You know, it's like with James hiding in his inside of his
So, Weeping Bell.
weeping bell. Yeah.
Alright, Weeping Bell. Okay, so
Ride the
Weeping Bell
Bell.
here. I mean, we're not talking about a great amount of natural armor. Its starting strength is pretty pitiful. Its starting dex is pretty pitiful. Its starting con isn't great. It has the freeze quality, so it can stealth check. It can stealth check in plain sight with like a huge bonus by pretending to be a different plant. So situationally, that could be useful, I guess. It has 2 vine attacks from the gate. Their damage isn't great, but they have grab immediately. And it gets a +6 to strength, so it goes up to like 18 strength, which is okay. Dexterity goes down to 9. Not a huge detail for it, really. Constitution goes to 15, so get some Constitution. It does get Swallow Whole right at the gate, and it keeps Swallow Whole, going up from D6 acid to D8 acid.
Right. So, typically you'd look at this and go, grab and swallow whole is a very uncommon thing to have on animal companions, and it's usually very powerful. You'd look at the T-Rex as an example and go, we've made use of this before. But cutting your way out of a swallow hole generally requires the creature to have pretty beefy hit points and pretty good AC. This thing's got none of those, so anything you swallow whole, unless it is literally a harmless ass animal, is probably about to slice its way straight back out.
Well,
Unless
in
it's
order-
got something with a two-handed weapon and it can't use it.
So it would have to have a light weapon or a natural attack to get out. So that's most creatures, but anything that's humanoid in shape might not have a dagger and might be stuck.
I sort of disagree, because if you look at a lot of things, unless it's something in light armor, it's probably got gauntlets. And in fact, I'm fairly sure you habitually equip most of your things with armor with gauntlets or spike gauntlets, just so they have the option of punching someone who's too uppity.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Most things will have gauntlets or spike gauntlets, or maybe even armor spikes that they can just decide they're going to use now.
well, yeah, but it absolutely needs to have spiked gauntlets because it has to be a light slashing or piercing weapon. I believe a gauntlet would be bludgeoning.
It is.
So if it's not piercing, like spiked gauntlets or armor spikes, like you are actually just stuck.
So
Hmm.
a monk would
Okay.
theoretically just be stuck regardless of how hard it can punch.
Yeah,
So
at
it
that
can't
point
cut
you're
its way
just
out.
relying on the counter grapple to try and crawl out of its
Or hopefully killing
Well-
it by punching its organs.
1,
Yes.
it's a monk. 2, especially my monks, they've probably got Hamachilatsu or anything like that, or bull style, and he's probably perfectly capable of rending his way straight out of the side of it.
Boar style,
Because I run
sure.
strength monks, you see. Because fuck you.
Yeah, but you also don't often use boar style. Or Komachilasu, now that I think about it. You talk about
When was
using
the
them, but
last time you saw
usually
me
wind
run a
up using
monk?
them. Cetus.
Cetus
I've
didn't
also heard
need
all the-
Hamachilatsu.
I've also heard all about Kizin, who
Okay,
ran none of
Cetus-
those as well.
Cetus was using Sarigama. In double weapon mode, it can just do slashing damage as a one-handed weapon. So,
It
he
would
had
have
his
to be a light
Sarigama.
weapon.
I'm pretty sure the sickle cat. It doesn't matter. The point is, he's a weapon user.
Yeah.
Kizin could just turn ethereal and float out of the fucking thing.
I mean, I can't argue turning ethereal.
He'd just empty body and leave.
Regardless, talking about things that it can't deal with, talking about the things that it can. So, yeah, it's got the swallow whole thing. It's got up to an 18 strength. It does have 2 grabs. It can swallow something.
So, honestly, my thought process on this, having had that rambling discussion, is that if your DM is just using either... Shut the fuck up, phone.
Fight it.
If you're just using standard templates, NPCs in this, that you are not specifically kitting out with little extra bits of armor spikes or spine gauntlets as a contingency, which is honestly something I've only really seen you do, it actually probably is a lot better. If you're in with this DM, who tends to equip most NPCs with backup options, not whatever that just states in the book, it's less useful. But that depends on how prepared your DM is for Jesse's weeping bell showing up. Jesse? James. Fuck.
James.
I've been awake far too long. I drank a
occasionally
monster,
do
it's
that.
not worked.
But yeah,
would you
overall,
put it?
I'm not gonna hold counters to swallow whole against this creature,
Okay.
like, because to be real, any adventurer going out there that doesn't have bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing is already being an idiot playing with their life.
That melee contingency kit does in fact exist for a reason.
And,
that
and
reason's trolls,
always carry bludgeoning. Clubs are free, literally free.
but... yeah, carry a stick!
But yeah,
Fucking
so
true.
I'm not gonna hold the fact that there is counters against this thing. I think it can do some pretty funny things. Adding to it, having the other things like plant immunities and such, it does have a very salvageable strength score, which is gonna go straight to its grapple. And let's
Yeah.
be fair, even if it doesn't swallow the opponent, just having it in a grapple is nice.
It's like, it can grapple to 2 targets, which is cool. It does need some patching in department to have any interesting feats, though.
You know,
I mean, that's
really
a plant
do
weakness
wish...
for the most part, I think.
Yeah.
Except for
wish...
that first cactus.
Yeah, the cactuses are actually quite scary. I wish these things had a bit of damage reduction floating around, since most plants tend to have damage reduction.
In some flavor. I mean,
Yeah.
it would help, but then that would probably set them apart from the other animal companions, and they already have something that the other companions don't, in the form of a pile of
Being a
immunities.
Because they're being a plant.
Yeah.
Alright, so where do we want to place this? Do we feel like it's C tier, or does it make it into B because of immunities? I feel like it is not as good as a lot of the other grapple options that we have.
Yeah.
Because
It's not
I
the
was-
immunities I'm looking at, it's grappling. It's actually how competent it is at grappling as well.
like,
Yeah.
at
I
18
think it would probably be a C personally, because there is just better grapple monsters that won't cost you a feat.
it's like, if you want a grapple monster, there is just better for it.
I don't think this is a C. I think it should be at least above the puffball, which we were thoroughly disappointed with.
So B minus,
I think this might be a low
Okay,
B
so
as well.
end of B.
end of B.
Unless
Yeah,
we want to
'cause-
drop the puffball down to D and let this be a standard for a...
I don't think the puffball deserves that. Come on now.
Yeah, no. Unfortunately, I don't care. I don't care how bad the puffball stats are. Just that list of immunities just makes it above D for bird.
I guess.
It's kind of
True.
hard to be in
Alright.
D with a pile of immunities. With an actual pile of immunities.
Fine. So really, what we're looking at here is that unless it is a true stinky bad, it's probably in B tier because it's a plant.
Yeah, that makes sense. Having a pile of immunities kind of does that.
Okay.
So the rash creeper. So I hope you enjoy my rash creeper pog.
Yes.
It's a little bit of poison ivy.
Alright.
It lets you know that's a rash creeper. Alright, so speed-wise...
Don't wipe your ass with it.
Yeah, of course not. Speed-wise, we're not talking fast, but we've got a respectable amount of climb here. It's as climby as it is speedy. So that's kind of cute.
Okay.
Natural armor, we're not talking about a lot of natural armor here. We've got a slam that isn't particularly threatening, but again, poison. This one has a low constitution though, so that's a little bit unfortunate. Dex is okay, strength starts off at 10, so not great. We are looking at this poison that starts out as a dex damage, that's only 1, but also inflicts sickened for a round when you fail, so that's cute. Cure 1 save to start off, but it becomes a Cure 2 save. The poison also increases from a 1 to a 1d2, so if you like that. Strength goes up to 14, so this is not stat stick, and it's not got a particularly high constitution either. Like, it's below the average. So it's not really supporting what it wants to do, and it's not a stat stick. But it does have a scary poison, if it sticks.
Which we've already gone through with the puffball. It's not going to stick because it can't hit, and even if it can hit, the likelihood of it sticking.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's
The good news is though the poison does perpetuate itself. If you do somehow get it to connect, that sickened will reduce their saves
yeah,
a little bit more.
Yes, it does. A -2 to basically everything, including damage.
Yeah.
Sickened?
But
Kinda
no,
nasty.
overall, I'm saying put it right with the puffball. Same problems.
Same problem.
It's better than the puffball, but it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
It's got worse stats than the puffball. Hilariously, it does have a
let's
20-foot
be
climb
fair.
speed.
I will say, I will absolutely slap this thing into a much higher ranking if we're only playing one of those campaigns that goes from like level 1 to 5.
Okay. Because then
You know,
it doesn't
because
really
it's
particularly
4th level
matter.
advance. Yeah, it's 4th level advancement, and suddenly it's like all of its things will connect. But the problem is, it's like that's kind of the only time I could see it shining.
Yeah, that's fair.
If you're not going to get your advancement for any of your better plants.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of these plants are... Now it's actually 7th level. Huh.
Let's be fair, the cactuses were great, but the rest of these have kind of been lacking.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, alright, so what we're seeing here is that the cactuses are actually the king of plants at the moment.
Sorry, no, the corpse eater fungus was pretty freaking good too.
Oh, that's true. True.
All right. So
Yeah.
okay. So maybe this will salvage them. So we're talking about the slithering sundew. We're talking about a plant that has 2 sticky constricting slams. It looks kind of like a serpent, apparently. It's again kind of slow, but it's a plant. It gets the 2 slams. They don't do a lot threatening amount of damage on their own, but they do acid. They do grab. We're talking about a base strength of 14, which isn't bad starting off. Not really. Especially when you get a +6 later, going up to 20. Dex 17, which is a lot of dexterity for a plant. That drops down to 15, so still a good amount of dexterity for a plant. Constitution starts at 13, which is sad, but goes up from 13 all the way to 17, so it actually becomes kind of chunky. We're talking about a constrict that deals purely acid damage, apparently, for some reason. A D8 acid.
Do you know what a sundew does? Do you know what a sundew is?
I mean, I found a picture of what a sundew was,
Okay.
but...
Well, all the sundew component, the glistening liquid on the things, is digestive enzymes.
Is it
It just
tasty?
curls up and digests things. It's a primitive predatory plant.
Well, this basically does that, so...
Yeah. It's a Sundew, I would expect it to.
So, it actually has a good stat line, so it supports what it does. It doesn't hit particularly hard, but it has 2 slams that inflict acid, grab, and constrict.
I mean, at that point, you're not really looking at the damage dealer being that. You're looking at its constrict damage as its actual... Oh god, that hurts.
It does 2d6 acid for its constrict.
What do I think? Well, I think it's got more charisma than some fucking players have.
I mean, it does have 6 charisma for some reason.
I mean,
I'm not questioning it.
honestly, yes, this is not going to compete with what we were considering S tiers for grapple monsters, but
I think
I honestly still think this would be an A myself.
I think this would be an A tier grapple monster, mostly because, like, yeah, it's not the best grappler, and it doesn't do the most damage, but it can grapple 2 things. It can grapple them well, and the pile of immunities.
Yeah, like, it's actually got one of those strength scores that salvages itself. Having a 14, not terrible to start with, and then going up to a 20, also not bad.
Yeah, and it's
that's
effectively a
acid.
strictly better version than the pitcher plant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you consider this an A?
I would consider it.
I feel because of everything, it can absolutely be made into something really good.
And it can. Oh, you're right. It can do 2 things at once, and it just does not give a shit.
Yeah.
You know,
Like
being able to just lock down 2 things on the battlefield. All right,
Exactly.
I see it. Okay.
Or trying to lock down something. Oh shit, I failed. Okay, try again.
True. Just
does
do
get
it
2
again.
chances.
And then if you can get it to the point where it starts getting those grapple feats, you just end up with a bit of a bonkers thing going. Yeah, sure, it won't deal as much damage in a single shot as Jack Lee did, but it'll do it slower over time to 2 creatures.
I mean, not a lot of things are going to do what Jakuli did, just because Jakuli was an abomination of like 3 different class features mushed together to just save space on the battlefield.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's not representative because it was a broken piece of shit.
It's fine.
You say that like if somebody didn't pick this, Ashy wouldn't help make this a broken piece of shit too. Ashy seems to like giving players lots of extra power.
I mean,
I'm not gonna complain about that.
I think Ashley knows what it's like to fucking suck and how little fun it is.
Shifty eyes.
As I say, as we lose a fight to some imps.
Shifty eyes.
That's because we approached this fight like our old party would have, but we lack the stats and numbers that our old party had.
What did we like? Jack making dice rolls mean nothing. Yeah.
A misery to just blend everything that gets a little too close.
Truth.
Yeah. Alright, so
Alright.
should it go into like the lower A or should it go next to the Deathworm?
I think lower A, because
It's low A. It's like Deathworm was a ridiculous pile of stats.
It was pretty ridiculous.
Deathworm was shockingly powerful.
Alright, so the last plant that we have today, the Snapping Flytrap. So it's a fly trap, obviously. Speed 20, so again, it's slow. All the plants have been slow. So that we can't demerit it too hard of that. Natural armor at going up to 4 it's okay natural armor. You start with 2 bites that can grab. You go up to 3 bites that all can grab. Your strength starting out is a 12, so that's not a great starting strength.
But
Dexterity
Jesus
starting
Christ.
at 15 is not the greatest either. It's fine, it's salvageable. Constitution 14 is actually pretty good starting out. It goes up to 20 and 18, so the stats we care about: 20 strength, salvageable, fine. Constitution 18, pretty good. 3 bites. It doesn't have anything special beyond grabbing things, but it has 3 grabs that are all bites.
Okay, I'm gonna say it. Depending on how much you value the constrict or just the grapple, I feel just because this gets the 3rd grapple, even though it does not have the constrict, I still feel like it could be A tier just because you could probably do something with it locking up multiple things on the battlefield.
Well, it's also a decent stat stick as well.
It's
Yes.
also decent stat stick.
Because it
So-
gets the exact same stats in the end as the one right above it, the Sundew.
Well, slightly more
It's-
constitution.
Slightly more con, but also like slightly less dex. So in the end, it's like that balances out. Its
No.
defensive-
Wait, what do you mean? It's a grapplers. Grapplers don't care about Dex. What am I fucking saying?
I mean, they care about Dex a little bit. It helps their CMD, which helps against counter grapples.
Yeah.
Okay, I
And-
guess.
A little bit
God,
of
my
AC
shoulder's
and
fucking
a little
killing
bit
me.
of
What
CMD.
the fuck?
But
I'm
yeah,
in pain. My body's
I do
disintegrating.
feel like thanks to the 3 bites, which all have grabs, it could still be an A because of that. But it's definitely not as good as the Sundew because the Sundew has an actual follow-up of fucking throttling the things that it's holding.
Where this
Melting
thing
them.
kind of just grabs it.
Yeah.
So, would you call this B, or would it still live in A? Next to Sundew?
Right. So, my thought process on this is, it's more durable, but does less damage than your Sundew. But it's even better at locking down multiple targets and just nailing them in place.
Yeah.
Sundew is killier, so I'd say they're about on par. They just have different use cases.
Okay. So I'll pop
The
them next to
fact
each
that
other.
it is large does give a very large area that it can just be like, if you enter this area, you are being held.
Oh, it does go up to large. Okay, it's got a bit of reach to it as well.
Both it and the Sundew do.
does as well, yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I'd
that's
say
why
the
it's
side
like,
grades.
its 3 bites are very nice. It's definitely being used for a different purpose, though. That's why I'm saying, same spot as the Sundew, I will personally value it a bit less than the Sundew, because locking up 2 targets and murdering them, or locking up 3 targets and just holding them there, I'd personally prefer the one less target but fucking kill them.
So the original Kizin, he was using the key throw, I think it was, and his entire shtick was to basically put his fat ass in a choke point, use his giant ass to block the corridor, but anything that came up to him, he'd basically grab and suplex them behind him for everybody else behind me to just kill and be isolated because there's me between him and his friends. So there is definitely a lot of use you can do by just planting something that's really grabby and nasty in a corridor and going, bet.
Yeah.
Then
But
again, if you're doing that, the Sundew's actually better at it. Yeah.
That's what
No,
I
I
was
see
about
your
to say.
No, I see your point now.
Yeah.
It's
I had
like
to rationalize it first.
it's like there is a little bit of an awkward position for the fly trap, I think. And okay, it can grapple 3 things, but if it's in a position to grapple 3 things, it might also be in a bit of danger itself.
Yeah, it's getting flanked now.
Yeah. Like, I kind of feel like,
Okay.
this is gonna sound really weird, but I kind of feel like its best position is being the back line. You got the 3 melee guys, then right behind it you have this thing, and this thing is just grabbing whatever the fucking melee guys want to beat the shit out of. Using its 10-foot reach to just hold them in place while the melee guys beat on it.
That's 3 chances to grapple something.
Yes.
Probably also can't really be underestimated either.
Yeah, it is definitely one hell of an assist trophy. I agree.
I'm gonna be honest though, if your dice luck is even just average, having 2 chances to grapple something is basically all you really need. You don't really need the 3rd one. And I'm still valuing that damage over just holding it in place, because you're holding it in place plus damage.
Eh.
Constrict does leverage strength, right?
Usually, yes. Usually. If it's just that acid damage, then it might not.
Okay. All right, Des.
That
You've
Sundew's
convinced
constricted
me.
in a weird spot.
You've convinced me. The Sundew is a bit better than this.
Yes. Like, I'm still
Alright.
saying they're in the same tier. I just personally think the Sundew is a little better.
And you've convinced me that that is the case.
Yes.
Okay, I'm sold.
Also, Ashley, you saying that the plants are all 20 speed. That's not true. the two that we slapped into A tier, the hunting cactus and the corpse eater fungus, both have 30 speed.
Well,
Oh, no,
you
I
see,
said that they're all slow.
a fungus isn't technically a plant. It's a fungi is its own family of life forms. And that cactus would be hangry.
You know. I'm still just picturing this stupid moment where on the deck of a ship you got a fucking cowboy druid, a cowboy fucking swashbuckler, and a cactus all standing back to back shooting at invaders.
I'm sure there's something in Final Fantasy with a cactuar with 2 pistols and a cowboy hat.
If there's not, we need to commission that shit.
I'll pray
no.
for that. Absolutely. Make it happen.
Oh no. Alright,
Oh,
well that was
God.
our list today. How do you guys feel about these plumps?
I'm
They're
not
not
as
D for
disappointed.
bird.
Yeah, I'm not as disappointed as I thought I might have been, because in a lot of these lists, the majority of them have been like, yeah. These have got a lot less glaring weaknesses beyond being a bit slow, and some Paizo hates poison.
Yeah.
But even then, just having the plant with all of its immunities just slap out there.
As you can see, this group is a fan of piles of immunities.
we put a lot of value in piles of immunities.
Yeah, I'm saying, we're a fan of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only point.
Oh, it's a really good point.
It's a pretty solid point. It's like immunities carried some of these that were worse, and helped elevate the ones that were good.
I mean, let's be fair. The immunities are the only thing that kept some of them from going all the way down to D tier, even though you have to spend a feat on it.
Yeah.
Well, again, my logic here is you spend feats on less anyway, so fuck it. If it's good with those immunities, it's absolutely worth the feat.
So if you enjoy what we do, consider leaving a like, maybe subscribe, possibly comment, maybe if you have an opinion about these plant creatures we discussed. And, bye!
Bye.